Hey there everyone, it's Joe from Bullion Now, bullionnow.com.au, selling you the best bullion bars and coins, shipped to you worldwide from Melbourne in Australia. This is your precious metals analysis, where we take a look at the big four: gold, silver, platinum, and palladium. Of course, head over to youtube.com/bullionnow. Now, over 7,500 subscribers. We are just winning. We've so much winning. You're getting tired of the winning. You know, everyone's been saying it. That's what I've heard of the word on the street. So hit the big red subscribe button here to join the family. Okay, I'm recording this on Friday, October the 2nd, 2020, approximately 45 minutes to an hour after the big news of the US President Trump and his wife Melania have contracted the Rona. So I was planning on doing this video a little bit earlier today, and just other stuff got in the way, and then lo and behold, the Prez has the Rona. So let's see what happens in the market in the next, number of hours, particularly when the market opens, not in our time zone. So we've seen a little bit of a tick up in precious metals. Interestingly, we've seen a little bit, if you follow the cryptocurrencies, we've seen a little bit of a dip in the cryptocurrencies. Just in the last, I'll show you in the last hour or so, seen that dip right there. So dip in the cryptocurrencies, a slight dip in the Australian stock exchange as well. But gold in US dollar terms has had a slight uptick, as you can see, in the last hour and a bit. Whether that continues, I don't know. We'll have to see what the non-Australian market does when that opens later on tonight. But let's just talk about, where we could move up, where we could move down to from here. In the last video, we were hovering around about here. We'd had this big spike. This is the daily time frame. We're using the tradingview.com website as gold priced in US dollars. So we had spiked down to about 1880. We were back around about this sort of 1910 level. And I didn't call any particular up or down move. I just gave you my sort of up and down targets. But we have so far, I should say, bottomed out at 1850 so far. Big question is where we're going from here. I'm going to stay neutral for the moment, just particularly because of the news that's just occurred. So let's just talk about, prices moving higher, prices moving lower. It's pretty much the same as last week's video. So nothing's really changed. It's just the direction could potentially change. Let's find out. But moving higher, look, you're at this key level right here. We want to push above 1920, of course, which was the previous all-time high, going back all the way to 2011. Let me show you this on it's easier to show you on the weekly. Much easier to show you on the weekly. There we go. The old high 1920, you know that one right there. So that's the next key little level. We need to break above 1920 in order to say, the dip might be over. So that's the big one. The next one from here, let's draw this in. There we go. We would want to break out of that little pattern right there. Maybe I can even do a quick little bit of, maybe that's in play. Maybe something like that's in play, but I'll just leave that trend line, this trend line here for now. You'd want to break above that. Moving higher, of course, you've got maybe this little level of 1975, but let's call it as I said last week, the psychological value of 2000, I think would still be in play. Somewhat might just sort of bump against it. This is if we are moving up higher from here and not seeing lower prices. And of course, from there, you've got the now recent all-time high of about $2,075. If we're just going hog wild from here, I've talked about it a number of times. I did it last week. Let's just quickly show you, of course, to our new subscribers, if you haven't watched one of these before, let's quickly show you the blue sky thinking. And if we move higher from here, if we are in an October up month, if we are just a big up move from here, or let's just talk about the next big level of resistance. We don't know when that would hit, but just say it does in the next few months, we'd be looking at a top of around about $2,500. that is calculated from this high and this low using Fibonacci analysis. The 1.618 here at $2,560, but it's so close to the psychological value of $2,500 that you could just call it there. So between 2460 and 2500 would be the next big level of resistance before we see, you know, a healthy retracement. That is, in my opinion, moving up. Let's talk about moving back down. Okay, if you hear the fan going in the background, it's kind of because it's a bit of a warm day today, so I hope that's not too annoying for you guys and gals. So moving lower. Here's my thought now. Let me just see. Let me put this out onto the weekly. We had this move down to 1850 on the weekly time frame. Again, you guys know I like to do this on the fly. My last call was a bottoming of around between 1800 and 1750, and I was leaning more towards 1800 being the bottom rather than 1750. I will change that to just staying within this channel somewhere. So I'm less confident now that 1800 would be the absolute bottom because we did already spike down to about 1850. $50 off from 1800 is not that huge of a spike down. From here, it's from there to there. It's not a massive spike down. So somewhere closer to, somewhere in this range of 1750 to 1800 is my call. If we move down further from here, you'll see a significant level of support somewhere between here and here. So that's my two moving down. If we move down further, let's even talk about that. Moving down further. You've got the 18 average of lows, which is around about your 1650 mark. And of course, this big trend line right here, it would butt up against that somewhere. It just depends where it was. Let's say we fall off the cliff and we're just having a huge number of, 6 months or so, something like that. You would butt up against this particular trend line and just pause this, and you can look at the different levels here to see where that might be. I doubt that's coming. I don't see a huge move all the way down to this trend line personally. So for me, the interim low would be between the $1,750 and $1,800 level. That is my opinion on gold. Let's move to silver. Again, really depends on what this new news is going to do overnight our time, that is. And I will stick with US dollar price just for the moment, because with news such as that, with the old Rona striking the Prez and his lovely wife, the Australian US dollar currency, that might have a big change. So that really depends. Where that goes to greatly affects, or does affect, where the gold and silver and precious metals prices in Australian dollars go. Hope that makes sense. Again, this is information more for the newbies who are new to these videos, these analyses, rather than all you OGs who have been watching them for quite a while. So, what was I doing? I was going to silver. Thanks for your patience, everyone. Silver is currently at $23.80 in US dollar terms. So we had that spike, and I was more confident in a pullback in silver than I was in gold. So I did call a pullback. I leaned slightly more towards a pullback in silver than I did in gold, and we've certainly seen that. And I called last week a rough bottom of, let's just see this on the weekly. I called a support level at around about here at about $21.20. We didn't hit it exactly. We came all the way down to $21.60. So can we call that close enough for jazz? That is up to your own discretion. I'm inclined to say it is 40 cents off. That's not too bad. Here's the thing though. If let's talk about moving down from here. If we are moving down, if we have a little bit of a spike due to the news about the president, if we have that and then we continue a bit of a sell-off, 21.20 is now not the support level. It's most likely going to be this one right here at the $19.70 level. So somewhere between here and this trend line, which I've been talking about before. So if we're moving down after maybe a possible spike up because of the news about the Rona, we might see a further sell-off. If we do, we see a further, I'm not saying we are, but if we see a further sell-off, it's now going to, I doubt it would double bottom here at sort of 2160, 2120. It's not low enough of a spike down after hitting the 2160 level. So you would come down to around about your $19.70, $19.80 kind of level, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, of course, and of course I could be wrong, and none of this is financial advice. Moving up from here, if it's just blue skies from here and no more further moves down, we've obviously talked about these levels higher before. Again, this is for the newbies. If you're watching this for the first time, you have again the $26 level, just a brief level to break through. You could potentially see a move up to here. Think of it possible. Could that be a Ted Cat bounce? Who knows? But that's a little level there, 26, and moving higher from here, you've got the big move. I think that's the bigger one at the $35 level. Let's stay with those for now. So the big significant levels would be here at 26. Even though we did break through it previously, and we kind of just sailed through it really, it will be some sort of level of resistance at $26 US. And then obviously you want to break through here at the $30 level, but the $35 level right here, that's one of the big ones. We've been speaking about that for a while. And we'll leave it at that for the moment in terms of moving higher or lower in the silver price. Let's take a look at XPT in platinum. It's very interesting. Usually when you see a dip in the price of gold and silver, you tend to see a rise in the price of platinum and palladium. It doesn't always happen, but it's an interesting correlation. So in the last, let me see, in the last few days, we have seen a spike down. Oh, that's kind of close to, it's kind of similar to silver and gold though, isn't it? We've seen a move from the 830 level all the way back up to, what do you know, in the last couple of days, right there, that previous resistance line that I've had drawn in here, which was calculated from this one right here, that has acted as a slight level of resistance. So that is a top of $910. I think I spoke about that last week, the resistance level of 910. So we've certainly seen that as a small resistance level on the daily time frame. Moving down from here, if we have a few green candle days and then a bit of a sell-off, you'd be looking at this trend line right here. I know this thing is full of lines and twists and turns and everything, but it is what it is. This trend line right here would be a level of support. You can't see that on the weekly, but you can see that on the daily. You might just come back down to here as a level of support. And look, it's sort of coinciding right here with this level. If I put a horizontal line in right there, you can see that's kind of lining up around about there. You see, come down, visit that trend line right there, and it tends to, it's looking like it's lining up with this previous level of resistance now being a level of support. Moving down from here, I was talking about this level of support at 790, and then this big trend line. Again, this is for the people watching this for the first time. This big trend line right down here, it would butt up against there. So it's between 790 and wherever it would land against this trend line. That will be the next levels of support, moving down and moving higher. If we break through 910, I think I can probably confidently get rid of that one. I think we would be looking at around about, I'm going to call it at, next big level of resistance would be right here at your $1,000 level. There you go, right there, $1,000 level, somewhere between $1,000 and this previous spike right here at 1,050 would be your next big level of resistance, either at $1,000 or 1,050 or somewhere in between there. And blue sky thinking, if we just keep going higher and higher. Again, sorry for if this is boring for the people who've watched this a number of times, but this big trend line right here, that's definitely going to be a level of resistance at some point. It just depends when it hit. If it did it in the next, month, that would be at about $1,130. If it did it in the following couple of months, about sort of $1,110 roughly, but it will be some kind of level of resistance. And of course, it may have a little spike up, possibly at about $1,190. All right, that's my call on platinum. XPD on Palladium. Interesting move here. We have topped out. So that's on the monthly. Let me go back to the daily. Since doing the last video, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are hovering around about this 22.20 kind of level. Since seen a nice spike up to 23.50 roughly. It's looking interesting. So pop this on the weekly time frame. It's looking like a potential failed move to break down through the $2,200 level. And oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes from a failed move comes a fast move in the opposite direction. Could that be potentially now? Yeah, you never know. So let's look at where we are moving higher from here. If what the levels of resistance are, it's going to be, I would suggest it's going to be the $2,600 level right there. That's sitting on a previous Fibonacci level. Go back to the monthly. Yeah, at around about 26. No, that is the, yes, that is. That's the 2.618 of the $2,600 level. So actually, I'm not going to call that. I don't think that's going to be a level of resistance. Let me find a different point for you guys and gals. It is going to be, it's going to be this trend line here. What's this trend line right here? Again, I'm doing this on the fly. Thanks for your patience. No. Okay. So I'm just going to call the next big level of resistance right here. I'm going to put it right there. As you can see, that's where we had the big spike down. So it's going to be right here would be the next big level of resistance at about 2,684. And then rising above there, you're looking at the previous all-time high. And I'm going to move that to around about there at 28.80, 28.70 roughly. So if we're moving higher, next level of resistance is going to be at about 26.70 in my opinion. If we move down from here, if it's a big spike down, your big level of support is going to be at this trend line right here. Again, just depends when it hits. If it takes, what are we on the monthly time frame? If it takes a number of months and we're just having a bit of a depression, I guess, a down period for a number of months within Palladium, you'd be looking at this trend line. As I said, if it did it in the next 6 months, you'd be looking at around about your sort of $1,500 level, I think would be probably the bottom for the Palladium market, in my opinion. Again, that's a number of months down the track if we're just moving down from here. In the short term, if you are a day trader or some kind of short-term trader, then the levels you'd be looking at would be right here. I drew them in last week at about 2020 and right here at about 1840. And I would also suggest right here, you can see these two levels of resistance. They will become now levels of support, and that's looking at about 1,620. So those are my targets moving down in the short to medium term. Given my targets moving up in Palladium, that's it, I think. Hit the big red subscribe button to join the family. So much winning. There's never been more winning ever in the history of winning. And you know what to do. So join us. And of course, we get to see what this price does over the next 24 hours, particularly in the next sort of 8 to 12 hours as the gold market opens internationally outside of Australia, of course. And it depends on what happens with the Prez as well. So that is it. Let's keep a keen eye on the price in the next 8 to 12 hours. And if something crazy happens in the prices, I will do a sort of an interim update as well. But of course, head over to bullionnow.com.au. Some excellent new items added just recently, particularly in the gold. If you didn't see the last video, we did a gold unboxing, and we've got 1/2 ounce Britannias, 1/4 ounce Britannias, and my absolute favorites. These are just fantastic. Check them out. The Valcambi gold is back in stock. The 50 gram, which you're probably used to seeing, but the 100 grammer, if you haven't seen that video of us opening the 100-gram gold bar, the Valcambi Combi bar. Check this out right here. It's this one here. An epic surprise unboxing of gold bullion, ! Where we open the 50-gram and the 100-gram. The 100-gram is just beautiful. So that's available for sale on the website as well. All right, I'm rambling. Take it easy. We're at 1912 now. Hang on, had a little bit more of a spike in the gold price since we've been talking. Interesting. Okay, we'll keep on top of it. I will update you much quickly if something crazy happens in the price over the next 24 hours. You may see another video tomorrow. Let's see what happens. All right, that's it. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon.